All right, so Jim Bowden, he's a former GM in Major League Baseball. He now writes for The Athletic, and he put out a piece, trade targets for your teams in baseball. And obviously, I immediately wanted to go to the Padres, check that out. And Jim Bowden, part of what he said here was that the Padres, they have checked in, they have talked with the White Sox about Garrett Crochet, Eric Fetty, the Tigers about Jack Flaherty, and the Marlins about Jesus Luzardo. That's not in this picture that you see here, the screenshot, but what's in the screenshot is possible targets for the Padres. And so I wanted to go over these targets. Who are the targets that I like the most, the names that stand out to me here? Do these guys make sense? So let's get into that. You can check out Jim Bowden's article, obviously, again, in The Athletic. But let's start with the starting pitchers. Luzardo, Crochet, first off, those two guys. We know that the Padres have been connected to those guys. Luzardo, Crochet, though, my worry with them is the health. With Crochet, I don't know when the Padres acquire him, is he going to remain a starter for the rest of the season? I think that's something that they have to consider. And how much will the Padres, it's both for Luzardo and Crochet, how much will the Padres have to give up in those deals? Will the Padres be able to give up enough to, allow have the White Sox give the green light and say, yeah, this is good enough to give up their best, probably right, their best pitching asset left, because they traded Cease, obviously, to the Padres. There's Michael Kopech as well, obviously, and we'll get to him when we get to the relievers. But that's just what I wonder is, are the Padres going to be willing to give up enough for those guys? Because those are two guys that I mainly see mentioned among like any starting pitchers in baseball right now. It's those two guys. And so if those are the top two guys in the market, then teams like the Orioles, maybe the Dodgers, teams like that, you would think would be in a better spot to outbid the Padres, but we'll see on that. But those two guys, they're talented arms, no doubt about that. The health, though, is a question mark. Eric Fetty, he is someone that is not the biggest name in baseball, but he is someone that, yes, the Padres should be interested in. He is someone that I don't think would cost a ton, but he also has had a really good year, though, so far. I mean, his whip is 116. So I probably shouldn't say really good year, but maybe for Eric Fetty expectations, it's been a good year. This is someone that would probably be a good depth starter for the Padres. So it would not cost a ton. You look at his baseball savant, he's not going to blow you away. There's no dark red on there, but there's no super cold blue either. And he's gotten over 80 innings this year. He has 14 starts, and the ERA is 3.12 or 3.10, excuse me. So that's a good depth arm, I think, for the Padres. I don't think that, let's say the Padres acquire Fetty, I don't think, one, they're going to have to give up a whole lot, and two, you're not going to have these sky-high expectations. But as many people say, you can never have enough pitching. You can never have enough starting pitching as well. So there's him. Jack Flaherty, what's intriguing about him is there's that Mike Schilt connection. There's Ruben Niebla, obviously, who has the ability to improve a lot of arms that he comes into contact with. The question I have with Flaherty, though, even though it would be a rental, I think he got 14 mil from the Tigers. So the Padres would be taking on, 6, 7 mil, whatever the prorated number is from that. And do they want to do that? Because that would be taking up a good chunk of what they have left over if they want to stay below that CBT number, right? So that's the concern there with Flaherty. Relievers, Ursa, Ottavino is someone that I mentioned yesterday on the show, and he is someone, obviously, that Padre fans know of from his time with the Colorado Rockies. And with the Mets, I don't see them being a real contending team, so I do see him being available. His whip's 132, which is high. It's his highest whip in his last 3 years. But you look at his baseball savant page, there's a lot of red, X batting average. So I think XBA, BA, XERA adjusted. So park adjusted ERA batting average. If I'm wrong on that, please let me know in the comments, but I think that's what that is. But it's a lot of red. Strikeout rate, 90th percentile. Guys are not hitting hard off of him. 85.7 miles per hour is the average exit velocity there. The extension's there. Not a lot of hard hit The hard hit rate, 87 percentile. So, like, there's not a lot of balls being hit hard off of Adam Ottavino. So, the whole right-handed reliever, top priority for the Padres, he could fit under that. Hunter Strickland, eh, it's a name, but feels like he's past his prime. Carlos Estevez, closer for the Los Angeles Angels. He is someone that has the velocity as well. I believe he's a righty. Kyle Finnegan, that is a name that I was researching these guys, and that's a name that really stood out to me. Now, I think he would actually cost a good amount, though. He has a .85 WHIP. He has a 1.91 ERA this year with the Nats, I believe. 28 and a third innings, 30 punch outs, and there's red there. The fastball velocity is definitely there. He's throwing 97 with that fastball. It's working for him this year. So maybe this is where the Padres would be buying high, and they might have to give up more than they would for Kyle Finnegan in another season. His whip last year was 1.30. Whip before that was 1.14, .85. That is a significant difference there. But someone with like Kyle Finnegan, something that I was seeing, I think this was him when I was researching it. He doesn't get hurt. He was last, I think, put on the IL. I don't even think it was, and I'll look this up right now, actually. I don't believe that it was for actually an injury. I believe it was because he was put on the paternity list. Yeah, September of 2021. So 22 nothing, 23 nothing. And the last actual injury was July of 2021. June, excuse me. He was activated in July of 2021. June of 2021, left hamstring strain. So he stays healthy these last couple of years going into this year. Over 60 innings pitched, almost 70 innings, over 60 games there. So that's a name that I would look out for this Padres team. There's history, obviously, between the Padres and the Nationals, them making moves, obviously. Michael Kopech is on this list. We know about his fastball, and it feels like the upside, if you have Niebla work with Kopech, that would be interesting. Steven Wilson, obviously with the White Sox, traded him to the White Sox about around, I mean, right before they were about to get on the plane to go to South Korea. And that is someone that, yeah, I would be interested in reacquiring. He's on the White Sox, so I would assume he's going to get dealt. And there have been times this year where I'm like, man, it would be nice to have Steven Wilson in this bullpen. Not saying I wouldn't have Dylan Cease. Love having Dylan Cease. I'm just saying I feel like maybe we took Steven Wilson a little bit for granted. He was just one of those where we're not going to talk about him a bunch, but he's just a solid reliever. And so adding him, I don't think you would have to give up a ton for Steven Wilson. And the Padres know Steven Wilson. They know, and I'm sure that if they would acquire him, they'll be looking at what he's been doing with the White Sox and how they can improve what he's doing there. So I'm not going to rule out Steven Wilson coming back to the Padres. I don't think, again, what I like about that is they know him. I don't think that they wanted to give Steven Wilson up. It was just like, hey, the White Sox, they have to build out a team. I know it's the White Sox, but they still have to have major league guys. And so have a vet in the bullpen. The headliners there in that deal obviously were minor leaguers. Hugh Thorpe, I believe, is making his debut this week with the White Sox, though. But it was minor leaguers at the time of that deal, and it was guys that have the upside, right? I think Iriarte was one of those that was in that deal with Thorpe, and then Steven Wilson's in there. But the White Sox, like, they're obviously not trying to win, and if you're the White Sox, who cares if you're putting him back in a Padre uniform? You can get more from the Padres with it, right? You got top guys in the C deal, and then you can get more guys for Steven Wilson. So I still see that as a fit there. And then bench guys, Brendan Donovan, Tommy Edman, Abraham Toro. Did I say Edvin? Sorry, Tommy Edman. Out of those three, I probably would go with Tommy Edman because I love the outfield, and things could change obviously with injuries, but Tatis, Merrill, Profar, I love where that's at right now. And Donovan, I feel like he's more of like I know he plays some infield. Edman and Donovan are both, like utility guys. Edman, I like that because it can give you an alternative Now, you could say, "Well, Ben, they already have Tyler Wade," and that's definitely fair. So maybe the Padres would go the Brennan Donovan route if they're gonna say because I don't think it would be, going down to Jose Azocar. I think it would be coming down to David Peralta, Tyler Wade as and I think they'd keep Solano, so I don't think it would as of now, it would come down to those 2, and I don't think that they wanna get out of Tyler Wade. I think it would be David Peralta, and so maybe, yeah, you say, "Hey, no, Brendan Donovan," but I don't think Brendan Donovan's having that good of a year this year. Toro, there's not a whole lot that stands out with Toro, to be honest, from the research that I was doing this morning. And Tommy Edman, maybe it's just the name and it's the San Diego connection. Maybe it's because I remember a couple years back and he's definitely like that contact guy, someone that can hit top of the order. I'm not saying he would do that with the Padres because we pretty much have our starters, but a lefty bat that can play a lot of different positions. Mike Schilt knows him. Like there's that connection there as well. If Hassan Kim is struggling, you have Tommy Edman. If Bogarts can't get back can't get back on the field and be completely healthy, then you have someone like Tommy Edman who can play shortstop. He can play second, a lot of different positions that he can play. Um, right now, I'm fine with what the bench looks like, but I'm not sure I'm going to be fine with that down the road. So that's why I'm talking about these bench additions here. And Jim Bowden obviously mentions those names. Um, but really, I feel like the focus should be on the pitching, not necessarily the bench. But that could change. You know, it's June 13th. The trade deadline's what, end of July? So a lot of things can change by that time. But I just wanted to float out these names to you. Let me know in the comments if you like some of these names, intrigued by some of these names, or you're like, nah, I mean, not really. I kind of like where we are with this group right now.